Hi everyone. So the other day during class, we worked our way up to 29% in this lab assignment. We did a little over half of the bullet points here, and we completed creating the VLANs on S2 and assigning VLANs to appropriate ports and naming them. We configured S2 ports for trunking. We configured all non-trunk ports on S2 as access ports. We configured R1 to route between the VLANs, and we named the sub interfaces and matched them to the VLAN number, and that's where we stopped. So we're going to pick up here with configuring R1 to act as a DHCP server for the VLANs attached to S2. So that's kind of the biggest part. So again, we've done over half of the bullet points there, but we're still only at 29%. Majority of the stuff is configuring with DHCP to finish out the lab assignment. So we've got 4 different kind of networks. I know, again, it looks like, hey, there's only one local area network off of R1 down here. However, remember, each one of these are in its own separate VLAN, which means each one of these is going to a separate sub interface that we connected the other day or configured the other day. So let me hover back over R1 really quickly. You see here that we've got G0/0.10, G0/0.20, G0/0.30, and G0/0.40. So even though it's plugged into one physical interface, which is G00, we've got 4 separate networks there that are going to each VLAN. So they're treated as separate networks. And you can even see that in its addressing there is 172.31.10 network, the .20 network, .30 network, .40 network. So they're all separate. So we're going to need a DHCP pool for each one of those. So we'll need 4 different DHCP pools. One for the 10 network or VLAN 10, one for the 20 network or VLAN 20, one for the 30 network or VLAN 30, and one for the 40 network or VLAN 40. So when we go to R1 here, I'm going to do enable config T. And again, we're going to use our addressing table up here to kind of get us going. So the first one we need is a DHCP pool for this first one here for the VLAN 10 network. And let's see if it mentions any name. Create a DHCP pool for each VLAN. Names are case sensitive, and they're right here. It says VLAN_10 should be the name there, and it shows you what the network address is, and we'll look at that. Again, it shows you the subnet mask up here if you don't remember what they are. Okay, so the first one we're doing is for VLAN 10. So DHCP pool, all right, VLAN_10. And let me make sure I type that right. Yes, VLAN_10. Oh, sorry, IP DHCP pool, VLAN_10. I forgot the IP part there. Now we are going to we're going to put our network address here, which again is 172.31.10.0. And remember, we put the subnet mask after that, which is a /27. If you didn't remember what a /27 is, you could go up here and you can see here that it says 255.255.255.224. Okay, so that lets it know that we're going to start at 172.31.10.0. We're going to, the subnet mask lets it know where to end at. So based off of that subnet mask, it lets us know it's not going to take up that whole thing like we usually do with the /24, which would have been 255.255.255.0. We're actually only taking up 32 addresses in that end. So it goes from .10.0 to .10.31. All right, so we want to configure the DHCP to provide the default gateway address. So again, we need to put default-router, and the default gateway should be this sub interface on the router for that network, which is G0/0.10. So 172.31.10.1. All right, should be that. Okay, that's the default gateway for that subnetwork. And then we configure the DNS server to 209.165.201.14 for all the pools. They're going to just share a outside DNS server. So 209.165.201.14 there. All right, then we're going to exit, and it says it wants us to exclude the first or prevent the first 10 addresses from each pool from being distributed to end devices. So that means we need to exclude them. And you want to always do usable addresses. So the first 10 would be .1 through .10. So we'll do IP DHCP excluded address, and then 172.31.10.1 would be the first usable in that network, and 172.31.10.10 would be the 10th address. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for those. So that configures our first DHCP pool. Now we got 3 more to go. So we'll kind of rinse and repeat, but changing things a little bit. VLAN_20 this time. And we're going to do network, and you see our network address is listed right here, 172.31.20.0, and again a /28 address. If you didn't remember what that was, you could go back up here and look that that's a 240 for this network right here. Okay, then the default gateway or default router should be 20.1, and again that's the sub interface there that I have highlighted. The DNS server will actually be the same from before. All networks are going to share that. It's not on any one particular network. And then we want to exclude the first 10 addresses. So we're going to do IP DHCP excluded address 172.31.20.1. 172.31.20.10 will be the last address in that pool to exclude. So the first 10. So now we got VLAN 10 and VLAN 20 IP DHCP pools set. Now let's do one for VLAN 30. Network 172.31.30.0. And my subnet mask here is a /25. Again, that should be a 255.255.255.128. But if you didn't remember, you could come up here and look, and there it is. All right. So 255.255.255.128. Then my default router, I want that to be 172.31.30.1. And again, that should match this sub interface on G0/0.30. And then we're going to use the same DNS server, 209.165.201.14. And we need to exclude the first 10 addresses. So DHCP excluded address 172.31.30.1 through 172.31.30.10. Okay. Now we'll do the last one, IP DHCP pool, VLAN_40, network 172.31.40.0, and this one's a /26 subnet mask, which again, if you look up here, should be a 192. So it'll be 255.255.255.192. The default router, again, should be the interface G0/0.40, which is 172.31.40.1. The DNS server should be the same as the other networks, 209.165.201.14. And then again, we're going to exclude the first 10 addresses of that pool. So that's 172.31.40.1 through 172.31.40.10. All right. Now, we don't need a helper address or anything. You've seen that in some other lab instances. That is where you configure the DHCP pools on a separate router than the one directly connected to the LAN. R1 is directly plugged into these LANs, so there is no need for a helper address to relay the information to another router. That's just simply not needed. Now, you do have R1 connected to this ISP up here. Usually your internet service provider is going to give you an IP address, the outside facing public IP address for the world to see. They're going to give you one through DHCP as well. So usually your modem or router has one or your modem has one at home, the outside facing address, and it renews it, weekly or monthly. And you see that here as well. It says interface G01 is DHCP assigned here. So for G01, we need to go in on R1, do interface G01, and we need to do, instead of IP add and type in the address, we need to do IP add DHCP so that it will pull that address automatically from the internet service provider. Okay, and it should get that in a moment. All right, so that's interface G01 there. Oh, and we need to do a no shut. Sorry, interface G01 and do a no shutdown, because if you don't, then it won't ever pull the address and it will stay down. So interface G01, IP add DHCP, and then no shutdown. Okay. Now, for all of these devices to start pulling addresses out of these pools, we need to go to each one and turn DHCP on. Now, with that, if we go, for instance, to PC1, desktop, IP configuration, DHCP is requesting. It says it was successful, and it got the address that we thought it would, 172.31.10.11. We excluded .10.1 through .10.10, so that would be correct. All right, PC2, desktop, IP configuration, DHCP, and again, we excluded .20.1 through .20.10, so that is accordingly, correct. PC3, same thing. All right, we excluded .30.1 through .30.10. And then lastly, PC4, desktop, IP configuration, DHCP, .40.1 through .40.11. All right, and that is what we expected, because again, .40.1 through .40.10 was excluded. So it assigned .40.11. All right. Let's see if R1, we see it here. It successfully got a, so let's check here. It looks like R1 G01 successfully received a IP address and subnet mask on its G01 interface. And we are currently at 100%. So we have configured everything successfully for this lab. Some things to remember and recap are, on G01 on the switch there, we had to make that trunking mode so that it would adequately transfer all VLAN traffic up to G00. We had to turn on the physical port of G00 on R1 and just turn it on, but the sub interfaces G0/0.10, G0/0.20, G0/0.30, and G0/0.40 all had to be configured as the default gateway for each one of these separate VLANs. So it's like one big local area network. However, R1 and everybody else is treating this as 4 totally separate networks. All these PCs are in access mode, connected to each one of these interfaces, carrying only that VLAN traffic. The switch-to-switch interfaces are in trunking mode because it has to carry all VLAN traffic. G01 on switch 1 is also in trunking mode because it needs to carry all VLAN traffic, and it'll separate it at R1. All right. So again, make sure that you go back and review our other video getting us to 29%. And then this video gets us from 29% to 100%. And I hope that helps recap everything that we've done through midway of the semester.